looking at now, when we're talking about history of the Boston Red Sox, history in Major League Baseball. What a turn of events. Unbelievable.
Who would have predicted it? So Ted Williams, Bobby Doerr, Johnny Pesky, Dom DiMaggio say hello to Aroldis Chapman, Wilson Contreras, Caleb Durbin, Wilyer Abreu, Cedon Rafaela. 15 straight wins. Just absolutely remarkable.
On what is a historic night as it relates to the Boston Red Sox and their 126-year history, 15 wins in a row, 15, done only one other time in club history by the 1946 Red Sox. That team won 104 games. I think they won 104 and 50, but no other team in Red Sox history has won more games than the 1946 Red Sox in a row, more games in a row than the 1946 Red Sox and now the 2026 Red Sox. Before we begin, phone lines are open, 617-779-0985. Let me just tell you, we've had a little bit of technical difficulty. So Jared Carrabis normally joins us by Zoom. He is doing that again. However, his power went out. So Jared is now joining us remotely via cell connection. Jared, is that how we're doing this right now? Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty good setup going right now. I have like a mini mic attached to a microphone stand so that the audio is great, and then I have my phone on a stand. I'm sitting in front of a window, so when the sun goes down, you probably won't see me, but for now you can see me as long as the sun's still up. Okay,
well, I can't see it all, and all I really care about is hearing you, so that's the good news. And Jared, I got to say, in all seriousness, you sound pretty good. So the audio, the audio quality is good. Jared Carrabis, presented by Blue Moon Belgian White, served with its iconic orange slice ritual. Blue Moon is a one-of-a-kind game day beer experience. That's Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. So we'll be all Red Sox here, obviously, during the hour, going right up until 7 o'clock. Game 2 of the doubleheader when the Red Sox pursue a 16th straight win overall during this season, 16 in a row, something no club in team history has ever done. There are a million storylines here. But, Jared, let me start here, and then I want your thoughts, okay? Mm-hmm. First of all, there are a lot of angles to this streak. Who's here, who isn't here, how they've been able to do it, the turnaround of the season, Craig Breslow's job, Chad Tracy jumping in mid-stride and being the manager of this team when he has no big league experience whatsoever, Caleb Durbin's turnaround, Jake Bennett's ascension. There are a million storylines, a million. But in watching them today and watching the rally in the first inning and watching the plays that Cheng made at the end of the game, you know what I really like about this streak? Let me tell you. And I'm telling all of you out there as well. Aside from the fact that this was unexpected, you know what the Red Sox are right now? They are an old school, legit, fundamentally sound baseball team. That's what they are. And that is what has made this thing, to me, as enjoyable as it has been. They've hit more home runs than they have been hitting all season long. And don't undersell that part of it if you've enjoyed this streak. The home runs matter. The home runs are a critical part of the winning, and they were averaging up until the Yankees series when they won 4 in a row. They were averaging under a home run per game, 0.86 home runs per game. During this streak, the number has gone up, and when I say the streak, I mean the 21-2 stretch. During that streak, the Red Sox home run rate has gone up by better than 50%. So the home runs matter. But you know what Cheng is? He's a ball player. Caleb Durbin is a ball player. He's a grinder. And the same thing is said for Anthony Siegler. Jake Bennett is not a guy who throws 99 miles per hour. He throws 93. He's got a sneaky fastball. He moves it around in the strike zone. He can throw a changeup away as well as a fastball in. He's a legit old school kind of pitcher. And that's what they are. They are playing legit, move the runner, hit the ball out of the park, field it, throw strikes, win the game kind of baseball team. Right now, that's what they are. I don't want to change it. And when I say that, I mean, Jared, I don't need Marcelo Meyer back anytime soon. I don't need Trevor Story back anytime soon. I would like Roman Anthony to rejoin the team because they need his bat when he's right. So we'll see how that goes. But I am content to watch this particular group and these players, and I am now content to watch the front office and see what they intend to do about the roster as we go forward. How about you?
I'm 100% with you, Tony. As we start to get these updates from the injured players, I think, we saw Trevor Story talking about, like maybe I'll be back in August. And I'm just like, I know Chang's not hitting, but I mean, he's had the game-winning play like the last couple of nights here. It's not something that I want to just tinker with. Like, there's no reason to be doing that. To your point, I'm with you on Roman Anthony. If he's healthy and he can come back and start to play, great, come on back. I think the Garrett Crochet update was discouraging. So he's kind of out of sight, out of mind for me. But like the Myers of the world, when you're healthy enough to come play, then head back down to Worcester. From what I've seen from this group, because I texted you this before we came on the air, like, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, I don't know. How about the Red Sox? You said specifically, what would you like to talk about? And the bullpen ERA is like 0.1 away from being the best bullpen ERA over the life of this 22-game stretch that they've won 20 games. The starter ERA is second in Major League Baseball. And I think the misconception about what we've been watching is, man, like the offense finally showed up, right? And I think it's because we look at Wilson Contreras is hitting the ball, and Wilyer Abreu had the back-to-back games with 2 homers over the weekend. It's like they're finally hitting. Are they? Because over this 22-game stretch, they are 23rd in Major League Baseball in runs scored. So it's more the timeliness of these hits that we've seen. It is, to your point, Tony, the fact that they are hitting home runs and they're not garbage time home runs. I mentioned Wilyer Abreu. He either was tying the game or giving the team the lead. Caleb Durbin hit a home run to win the game on Monday night. So it's not that they're blowing teams out of the water. They're not these world beaters from an offensive standpoint. But when they have scored runs, they haven't wasted any for the most part. It's been, we've needed every run that we've scored. Aroldis Chapman's getting a lot of work over the life of this stretch because even today it's a save situation. They're scoring just enough to win, and they have the pitching staff to be able to hold off the opposition.
It's amazing. It really is. It just goes to show you how brittle or how delicate the balance is between winning and losing. And Jared, I've said this before. When you look at Major League Baseball, the line between winning and losing is right around 4 and 5 runs. It's right in that window. And the Red Sox were just under 4 runs a game for the majority of the season. I think it was like 3.9. And now they are a little over 5. And again, I'm going back like 22, 23 games now. Okay, I'm not just talking about the 15-game streak. I'm going back to the streak before it when they won a bunch of games and beat the Yankees and won 5 in a row and then lost a couple to the Nationals. So I'm extending it out over a longer period of time. And I think it's 20-2 now in the last 22 games. And When you look at that little difference of on average a little more than 1 run a game can turn you from a loser into a winner. That, to me, I find fascinating. So, look, the trading deadline now is 9 days. 9 days away to the end of the month, 3 days more to the deadline. So 12 days away. I keep thinking of it as July 31st, but it's August 3rd this year. 12 days until the deadline. So let me ask you, how much pressure is there now on ownership and upper management, baseball ops and above, to add to this team and give them what they need, and what's at stake if they do?
There should be a lot of pressure because the roster that they put together. The way that I look at it, Tony, is because people want to say that this stretch is lucky. I think the first 3 months have been unlucky. When we talk about this offense still not blowing down doors or anything like that, this is how they design the team to win. And maybe that's not the best way to design the team to win, is pitching and defense when you play, half your season at Fenway Park. But they're winning games the way that they should be, and they're back in it. And I think what you have to consider as a huge, I guess, benefit to the Red Sox is you're not looking at a team where it's like, well, we need offense, but where do we put it? We're so stacked, or we have these commitments at these certain positions. There are 2, maybe even 3 glaring positions that you can go out, whether it's a long-term commitment to a guy on a longer-term deal, you can slot someone in, or even if it's a rental, there's left field, there's shortstop, and there's catcher. And I know Shea Langoliers has been floated. I don't know the A's willingness to do that. He would be perfect at Fenway with the right-handed swing. Just a great overall player, never mind just a catcher or an offensive player. Hunter Goodman is the guy that I've really, really wanted the Red Sox to target. I think I brought him up last week, but people are like, oh, well, he's plays for the Colorado Rockies and yada yada, Coors Field, but his numbers are significantly better on the road than they are in Denver.
Yep.
And then left field, I mean, it's just you have Jarren Duran. We don't know when Roman Anthony's coming back, but shortstop is another one where I would love to see them pick up the phone, call the Houston Astros, see what it would take to get Jeremy Pena, because I feel like if Houston was going to sign him, they would have done it by now. That's been a team that historically, when they have a guy, they don't like to let him walk. That hasn't happened super often. Like, they will trade a player in their prime just because they know they can't sign him. They did that with Kyle Tucker. So maybe you pick up the phone for Pena. I know he's had his injury concerns, but I think he hit a grand slam the other day and followed up with a home run last night. So he's hot right now, and he plays great defense. So yeah, there's positions to address if you want to add a bat / continue with the defense that you've built. So it shouldn't be an issue of where do we fit the player. It's how do we get the other team to participate in what we're trying to do here?
So, Jared, let me ask you this question and give me a short answer now. We'll get into it a little bit more in depth. How much of a difference can it make in the American League if they were to add a player who could have an impact?
If they add just one player who is an everyday player, they become World Series contenders, because over the life of and I know that you guys mocked me for this take like 3 weeks ago, but you can shove it up your ass now. But I think the Red Sox adding one bat is the difference between they can get to the playoffs, maybe make some noise because of the rotation and the defense and all that. If you add a bopper, now you're talking about being able to actually take the American League by storm, because you just went 8-0 against the 2 teams that are supposedly the 2 better teams than you in the American League.
Okay, so here we go, folks. Red Sox have won 15 in a row. They go for 16 in a row tonight. They're in possession of a wild card spot. I said to you all along, if they get over 500 and in possession of a wild card spot, I'll say they're back in it. They're back in it. And what an amazing run. So I want to ask Jared a bunch of things. I want to ask him about Tom Werner's comments that we played for you a couple of nights ago, what his interpretation was of it. And I'll tell you something we haven't done a lot of, as well as I want your input and your phone calls. Something else we haven't done a lot of yet. I haven't spent a lot of time on Chad Tracy. I know people are clamoring for them to remove the interim tag from Chad Tracy. I am not clamoring for that, Jared. And honestly, that part of the conversation to me is sort of pointless, because they should pick it up. No, they shouldn't. Yeah, they should. No, they shouldn't. Yeah, they should. What I'm interested in is the guy. What do you notice about the guy? And there are some things that I notice now with Tracy. When he speaks, how he handles himself, how he handles this club that are registering with me. And I'm not making any definitive judgments. I'm just trying to call it as I see it. And I want to touch on some of that, too. I want to play you some of the comments he said after the game, because I thought he said some good stuff today. He has been saying good stuff. He handled himself very well, and I thought he has said good stuff on many nights, but there's obviously an impetus and a reason now to really focus on the words that are coming out of his mouth. So we'll do that. We'll take your calls as the Red Sox go for 16 in a row. 16 in a row tonight against the Baltimore Orioles. We do that all tonight on the Baseball Hour.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour.
In the last 2 games, we're pretty happy with what we play. So Like, how much is his defense?
He's been phenomenal. I saw that in Worcester. He's a very rangy player, instinctual player, good first step. Obviously, the play the other night was tremendous. That play today was hard. That ball was hit hard, and he had to. If he comes this way, it's probably going to eat him up. But he understands. He has got a little time to get that ball across the diamond, and just a really good shortstop. Good.
Sung Shea Cheng. It's just easier for me to say Cheng because I have to go so slowly. Do not underestimate the importance of this guy in this thing. Okay? Like, I'm just trying to tell
13-1 with him.
Yeah, 13-1, 12-1 as a starter. And watch him play defense. He's as sure-handed as it gets. I mean, and again, watch the 2 plays in the 9th inning today. The last one's apparent. You saw it. He goes into the hole, fields it quickly. Obviously fields the ball cleanly, gets rid of it quickly and bounces it over there. Boom, no problem. And by the way, in case you're wondering, the bounce is intentional. He understands it doesn't matter if I bounce it. What's important is the release and getting rid of it, so he gets rid of it. And it wasn't a difficult ball for Contreras to handle. The one earlier, and it's really subtle, Jared, the double play, it's kind of a high chopper. And he's starting to come in, and he realizes, I'm going to have to smother this on a short hop, and I'm going to back off and start the double play and just take it almost like a chest-high bounce, which is exactly what he did, got rid of it quickly and started an easy double play. He's got an ability to read the play in real time. He trusts his hands, and he's got tremendous hands and tremendous instincts. So their defense at shortstop has been impeccable. I would argue the best it has been in a long, long, long time. This guy's better than Bogaerts defensively, and I'm not telling you Bogaerts is a bum. Bogaerts, I thought, for the most part, was steady, made the plays he was supposed to make. This guy's good. Defensively, he's good. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. But, Jared, I want to play for you. I'm curious as to your observations and thoughts on Chad Tracy. What do you think they should do, and what do you think of him as a manager?
So to your point, Tony, I'm not in a rush to take away the interim tag. I don't know. I mean, maybe it means something to him personally, but I don't think that it keeps him up at night where he's sitting there being like, man, what don't they see? Why aren't they removing the interim tag? He's thinking about the next game. He's thinking about the next at bat and all that. I think he's pretty locked in at this point. I think he knows deep down if he does a good job, if they make it to the postseason, that he's got a pretty good shot of having that interim tag removed. And I think the unspoken piece of all this is that a lot of the interim tag getting removed hangs in the balance of Craig Breslow's job security. Because if Breslow is still here, I think the interim tag gets removed. If Craig Breslow is not here next year, then the Red Sox might look at it as, all right, well, we've had some difficulty filling this position, and I'm sure some of it had to do with the fact that there was already a manager in place and people want to put their own manager in place. So that's probably the biggest part of it. And unfortunately, it has nothing to do with Chad Tracy. So, but the way that they're playing right now and the way that things are going, depending a lot on what happens at the trade deadline, if they make a move and continue to get better and play as well as they have been playing, then he'll be just fine. And I think he knows that. Do you listen to him when you can post game, Jared? Do you listen to Tracy? Always.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, Jimmy, if we could, let's play, I'm just going to, we're going to play Tracy number 6 here, Stu, which is, again, lots of questions about the streak. And this question, I believe, and I think the questions are still in on these, but this question, I believe, was about all the noise that had existed around this team, some of which I'm going to ask you here about, Jared, shortly. Because Aroldis Chapman last night or 2 nights ago, I can't even remember what it was, made some interesting comments about just the dynamic in the clubhouse. And we've heard similar things from Contreras, Connor Falefa, et cetera, et cetera. But Tracy was asked about all that stuff and the noise that was around the team, the losing that was around the team. Here's the exchange.
Well, Chad, when you guys were 14 games under 500, there was a lot of noise. Obviously, fans are passionate. Sometimes that shows up in different forms. What's to say about your group that you were able to turn this around, turn the season around, and go on this type?
Yeah, I just think more than anything, what it says is when we're going through that and we were in that period that, and where the date was, that it's, and with all the noise and, as you know, you're creeping towards the break and the deadline, that it's very easy in those moments to get distracted mentally and just kind of, I don't want to say wave the white flag, but just be like, it's too much to overcome, they didn't. They just keep going. They keep trying to get better, and they listen. And the coaches bring things to them, and they bring things to us. And it was like everybody's mind always, even with the struggles around how do we make it better. And that's been the case since day one. So and they've found a way to make it better. So
Jared, here's what struck me about it. And look, Alex Cora is an accomplished guy in the major leagues. Tracy has no experience. He is almost egoless. At least he speaks that way. Now, I'm sure he does have an ego. Who doesn't? Okay, a lot of people have egos, particularly ones that work in professional sports. But he didn't talk about himself. He talked about the team, their resiliency. We go to them, they come to us. It was an honest answer, didn't put himself above his players. And to me, this is sort of in contrast to, and this is part of the issue when you get in pro sports. I contrast them with comments that were made by Tom Werner the other night. Well, we always believed in this team. We knew Durbin could play. The whole thing is, yeah, we were right. You were wrong. He doesn't do any of that. None of it. And I just love the fact that he is as, dare I say, green and naive and uncorrupted as he is. I love the fact that in his mind, he's just managing a baseball team. That's it. It doesn't matter the rest of it. There's no bull crap. He answers the question that he's asked. He probably sometimes says too little or too much. And I thought, early on in the process, you could hear some of the inexperience with him. But I have been overall just impressed at how refreshing it is to hear a guy who just answers the question and talks about his players.
The word, Tony, is authentic. And I think this goes back to not so much, but a little bit of the Chaim Bloom era where Chaim's a really smart guy. He was more of a normal guy than I think what we've heard from Craig Breslow. I know that a lot was made out of the Craig Breslow introductory press conference, and every press conference since then where it's like, what are we talking about? Like, are you an astrophysicist or are we talking about baseball here? But to your point also about the ownership group, well, we don't hear from John Henry, and like Tom Werner spoke on Monday night, and I was rolling my eyes a lot at some of the stuff that he was saying. And then when Sam Kennedy talks, it's like I don't know that you believe everything that you're saying. So to have Chad Tracy just be a regular guy, or at least it sounds like he's one of us, and he can just talk baseball and give you the ins and outs and be real with you, even in moments where there were plenty of moments where maybe we didn't want to hear the truth, but he had no problem just speaking about the situation in a reality sense. That's refreshing because we don't get it from any level of the organization usually.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge change, Jared. And look, I always enjoyed listening to Cora, but I will say I think Cora had run its course here. And I think that he wasn't the right type of guy for this setup anymore. I'm not sure they would have played the same way quite under Cora as they're playing right now, because I think Tracy doesn't make any judgments on the roster. And I understand why Cora did. Again, he had an accomplished resume. And so, Cora has an ego, a bigger ego than Tracy does. And Cora should be managing in the big leagues. He should be managing a big market team with big egos because he can handle it. Tracy needed to be, he got put in a brutal spot, is what I'm getting. His team was in a brutal spot, or what I'm getting at. His team was in a brutal spot. Guys like Cheng and Siegler, and who else am I leaving out? Eaton, when he was here for a period of time, put in a horrible, horrible spot. Jake Bennett, same deal. Durbin was underwater, and they've dug themselves out of it. And so I have tremendous respect for Durbin in particular and what he's been able to turn around in the market that he's turned it around in. So, look, we've already chatted a lot here. I want to get to callers. I do want to ask you about, again, the comments that Aroldis Chapman made, because I would love to get your assessment of really the whole issue with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, how the Red Sox are handling it, all of that. Was McCarthy in with Jared last week, Jimmy? I think he was.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so I haven't talked to Jared in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's a summer Mazz.
Well, that's true. Yes, it is. Yeah, summer Mazz is now running in earnest. But Kevin Majori will get you caught up on headlines. We'll get to your calls. I'll ask Jared about what's going on with Roman Anthony in Florida and in the clubhouse at Fenway Park. All of that when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
Behaving themselves on and off the field and here in the clubhouse, how they show up to the ballpark, and just really feel happy about the way that we've been playing during this streak.
We'll get to your calls here in a minute. That was the translator for Aroldis Chapman a couple of nights ago when asked about the keys to the Red Sox turnaround. Talks about the environment in the clubhouse, guys behaving themselves on and off the field. This is on the heels of a comment by Wilson Contreras at the All-Star break. The young guys have come up and they listen, they play hard, and you can't help but make a contrast or a comparison to the guys who were here before that and whether there's any hidden message in that. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had a similar comment earlier in the year. Roman Anthony has now been sent down to Florida to rehab while they wait for his potential return. So, Jared, let me ask you your opinion. When you look at the dynamic of the clubhouse and on the field, is there any message there in your mind that's coming there from Chapman and those guys? Because we've read into it a lot on Felger and Mazz. Are we reading into it too much? Or do you think there is something there that has been a point of contention or lack of professionalism or whatever on the part of the young guys?
I think it would be very hard to not read into those comments as if they weren't to. I mean, I think, for example, you mentioned Anthony Siegler, Chang. There are guys that have come up and were not expected to be contributors to this team in 2026. And they've been put in a position to where it's like, hey, an opportunity opened up for me. I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. And I don't know, like the whole, on and off the field, the behavior thing. I can see how people would listen to that and say, oh, that's a shot at Meyer and Anthony because they like to go out on the town all the time. But for me, I took it more as a compliment to the guys that have gotten an opportunity that they probably didn't think that they were going to get this year. They're making the most of it. And it's more complimentary to them than, I guess, a shot at the guys that aren't here.
Okay, do you think there's a professionalism problem with Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, and whoever else?
I don't know that professionalism is the word I would use. I think that there's probably like a
maturity,
testicular fortitude than anything else. Yeah, because there's no one that's willing to say it on the record, but I think there's plenty of murmurs about the toughness, I guess, has been brought into question.
On both of those guys, like a willingness to play through injury and that sort of thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you think there's any merit to it?
Any merit to what?
To the talk about lack of intestinal. Like, do you think those guys need to show that they're willing to play through injuries?
Based on where the murmurs are coming from, Tony, I would say that there's merit to it, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's something these guys are going to have to deal with when they come back to the big league club. I mean, there's no way around that. If they don't have the respect of their teammates, Jared, that's going to be a hard thing for them to deal with.
Well, I'm not saying nothing about teammates, but
Okay. All right. So you're talking about people in the organization. All right. I got you. Loud and clear. Let's take a couple of calls. A couple of people here have waited on the line here for a little bit, very patiently, I might add. Ian is in Lexington, wants to talk about Aroldis Chapman. Go ahead, Ian.
Hi, Mazz. I wanted to hear your thoughts on Aroldis Chapman's performance over his last couple of appearances and just the implications of what that means going forward.
Okay. Shaky. I think he's been kind of shaky all year, if you want to know the truth. And when I say shaky, Jared, I'm not telling you he sucks. I'm just telling you that this is closer to what I thought Aroldis Chapman was when they brought him in a year ago. His walk rate relative to last season has nearly doubled. He doesn't throw strikes with nearly the same kind of consistency as he did a year ago when I thought he was absolutely dynamite and had basically the best walk rate of his career. So do you see a similar thing with Chapman?
I think he's hurt. I think he's playing with a bum hamstring. I think he's trying to be how can anyone call into question the toughness of the young players when the veterans are like, yeah, man, like I'm kind of like 70% right now, 65% right now, so I'm going to take a breather here. I think he's going out there saying me at 65% is better than any other option that we can go with in the ninth inning. I can do it. It's like, okay, normally I'd be pumping 101. I think we can get by with me at 96, and that's what he's been doing. So I'm not going to knock the guy for not being, super automatic when he's still getting the 3 outs that he needs to get before the other team scores more runs than they need to get to win the game. So is it perfect? No. Has it been super clean? Not really. But is he getting the job done? Absolutely. And I commend him for, stepping up and saying that this team without a closer, you want to talk about having problems? That's a pretty big one.
Okay, so really what you're getting at is that he had the right to speak because he's actually powering through an issue there. Again, and I've heard
1,000%.
Yeah, I've heard other people talking about that, and I do. I think, look, that's fair. It's a fair point. Steve is in Fall River. Steve, go ahead.
Tony, I heard your blurb about Tracy. I did get it blacked out, but I actually heard it live, and he also brought up the fact when they were in the 14 games below 500, he thought a 10 out of 12 streak would solve the problem because of the way the American League was. If you remember, I called you and said 10 out of 13. No one predicted that this win streak would happen. Now that it's here, let's understand why it happened. The pitching has remained the same. It hasn't been Chang and C stereo. They've come up and done the job. It's been the players that they relied on to do the job. Contreras having a year in power. Durbin playing out of his mind. Abreu he's playing good now. The center field is having a much better year. Even Duran, while his numbers don't look like it batting average, he's getting a lot of good at bats. He's getting a lot of RBIs. Now, going forward, this can't be the lineup for the opening of the playoffs.
Steve, I agree. I'm going to let you go just because you're breaking up a little bit and your phone's a little garbled. I also get a lot of people on the line. But look, generally speaking, yes, the nucleus guys. But here's my point: Contreras has hit all year. And Abreu started out great early in the season, and they were losing games. And Rafaela has been pretty steady, Jared. Would you agree that he's
an all-star?
Yeah, for the most part, Rafaela has played well, pretty steady the whole year. I don't think he's been great, but he's been good all year. And so, meanwhile, Trevor Story was striking out like a madman. Marcelo Meyer was doing absolutely nothing. Roman Anthony had a bad month before he got hurt or whatever it was. He didn't really play well for any stretch of time whatsoever. And then he got injured, and now he hasn't been in there. So and the pitching is the foundation upon which this team is built, Jared. There's no question about that. But the point is, the veteran, Sonny Gray has pitched well for the large majority of the year. It changed when Story went out, when Anthony went out, when Meyer went out, and then all of a sudden the strikeouts disappeared. They started putting the ball in play more, and then the holes that were in the lineup, Jared, shrunk and sealed because they weren't striking out as much. They were putting the ball in play. And again, I don't want to minimize the home runs. They're hitting for more power. Stephen Fall River is right about that part. But the mistakes that they were making have kind of dried up. At least that's how I see it, Jared.
Yeah, no, you're not far off. And I mean, I want to give a big tip of the cap to Caleb Durbin because, you want to talk about guys that were giving you next to nothing for quite a bit of the season. It was kind of like a 40 and change sample where he was awful. And then the last 40 and change games, he's got like a 900 OPS. And him going from being an automatic out to a guy that's been driving in runs for you. He had the game-winning home run on Monday night in the 8th inning. He's played a fantastic third base defensively. Like, I don't hear anyone, myself included, talking about Alex Bregman anymore because Caleb Durbin's been everything that you hoped he would be and more over the last almost 50 games here. So the way that I look at it, I'm more in line with you where, Wilson Contreras has been doing it all year. Wilyer Abreu is a guy that I expected to be consistent. And the fact that he's crushing lefties, like you don't have to platoon Wilyer Abreu anymore. The fact that they're letting him go out there and hit against lefties, and he's doing significantly better against lefties than he is righties this year. That's something that the organization deserves credit for, because if they were still platooning him, then you're missing out on almost all of Wilyer Abreu's offensive production this season.
Richard's in Somerville. Richard, go ahead.
Oh, yes. So just want to go back to the times where, you talk about the owners, you talk about how bad they've been recently.
Get to the point, Richard. Get to the point.
Yeah. The point is, where would the Red Sox be if these owners never bought the team 20 years ago, 25 years ago?
Okay, look, it's a much bigger question. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of good that's come in, too. So would they have ever won a World Series? My guess is probably not. But, Jared, do you look at – I guess what I'm saying is this. Do you feel like they run it the same way they did for the first 10 years of their ownership, Jared?
No, it's the same way that I look at this season. It's a microcosm of the ownership group it's flipped, really, where, you've got fans that when they were awful for the first 3 months of the season and you say as much, and now they're the hottest team in baseball, it's like, oh, well, you said that they sucked. And it's like, well, they did suck. Like your opinion should be fluid based on the performance. Same thing with the ownership group. They come in 2002. They turn things around. They start spending money and rebuilding Fenway Park, and they win a World Series in 04, and then 07, and 13, and 18. It's like, all right, we commend you for all that. But since 2018, are your spending habits the same? Is the attention that you give the team the same? And I'll give John Henry credit. He's been around a lot this year. Like, I don't know to what we owe that to. Maybe it's because things have been so bad that he's more plugged in. I don't know. If you talk to people behind the scenes, they swear up and down that he still cares about the Red Sox as much as he always has. I don't think that that's true, partly because, you look at the financials behind Liverpool, and it's like, I get it. That makes way more money. I totally understand that. But the Red Sox are the Red Sox, and as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, they are one of the crown jewels of the game. But to his credit, he has been around a lot more. But I think it's fine to say, yes, the ownership group did a fantastic job to a point, and then since 2019, it hasn't been the same. So I'm not going to let him off the hook because of, 3.5 weeks of good baseball.
Jared, we have taken a lot of calls, and I've heard from a lot of people over the last, several days, even the last couple of weeks, as the team has played well and extremely well and gotten back in it. And certain people have called in and said, I don't really want them to turn this thing around with the guys that they have, because I think it will just embolden the ownership to keep running it the way they're going to run it, and they're never going to really be championship driven anymore. So let me ask you, is that a legitimate concern? Do you have that concern that this empowers ownership to keep running it like, as Tom Werner said the other day, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Milwaukee Brewers, and they really have no designs on ever fully investing and going after the big fish to put the team over the top?
It's a catch-22 because if you win, I don't really care how you do it. And right now they're winning. And so the whole Craig Breslow part of this, outside of just the ownership, because obviously it's not his money. He's essentially the financial advisor for John Henry here. You look at the guys they sent to the All-Star game, they're all Craig Breslow guys. Like, a lot of the guys that are directly responsible for the Red Sox playing well are Craig Breslow guys. So I think Breslow hasn't done himself a ton of favors in terms of how he speaks publicly, because everyone's just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But you can point to a lot of deals that the Red Sox have made under Craig Breslow. A lot of the players that have been brought in to turn this thing around are Breslow guys. A lot of pomp and circumstance for individuals that people don't even realize were brought in by Craig Breslow. So he deserves his praise for this. If they win how this formula is put out, because again, they weren't as bad as they were playing. They're not 20-2 good. They're not worst team since 1965 bad either. They're somewhere in between. If that gets you to the playoffs, great, because pitching and defense should be able to at least take you somewhere that you would like to go during the postseason. It's wait and see for me. I think when people were talking about firing Craig Breslow, that was because of how bad it had really gotten, and it felt toxic when we were talking about the young players and, you know, the behind the scenes stuff. It was very reminiscent of 2012 when you needed to get Bobby V out of there to really turn the page and start a new chapter. It kind of just felt like, all right, Breslow, you got to go, man. You got to go. But at this point, you look at how they've turned it around. The players that are directly responsible, they are Breslow guys. He deserves his praise.
Okay, so but that aside, Jared, and let me just try to boil it down. We'll all be happy if they win. I mean, if they win, they win. Like, but winning now and winning in October are two different things. Do you think this philosophy, and as constituted right now, that they are good enough to win, to be championship caliber? Do you believe that?
Not yet, no. I think a lot of that determines or is dependent on what they do at the trade deadline. If you go get me a name, if you go get me a star at the deadline, and for example, I mentioned Jeremy Pena before, if you trade for a guy like that, you're going to have to pay him. So show me that. It's very similar to the Garrett Crochet deal where you go and get the guy, but now you got to pay the guy. And if they do something like that, I think a lot of people's tone, myself included, changes around here.
Yeah, look, I mean, to me, that's what it's about now. Are you willing to pay the price? We say about players all the time. And we talk about guys playing with injuries, and we put it in those terms. Aroldis Chapman is willing to pay the price. He'll pitch at 70% because he recognizes he has a responsibility to do it. He wants to win, and he's got a responsibility to his teammates. And so are you willing to pay the price? The same is true of ownership. When it comes time, are you willing to play hurt? So to me, they still have to answer that question. They haven't been willing to do that in a long time. Anyway, game time's coming up here, Jared. We still have people on the line. I couldn't get to all the calls, so I'll try to get to those people in future nights. I apologize. Jared, thank you for fighting through your power failure on your end and then being on the show tonight.
Thank you, Tony. I'm going to have to go to like a local 99 or something to go watch the game. Yeah,
nothing wrong with that, Jared. Have a couple of beers while you're there.
Sure, why not?
Blue Moon.
Kids eat free.
Ideally, Blue Moon would be the way to go.
That's right.
That's right. I thought I would
smooth and refreshing.
Jared, we'll talk to you soon. Kevin Majori will get you caught up on headlines here. Again, Red Sox about to take the field shortly for the nightcap with a 15-game winning streak on the line. We'll catch you tomorrow.